Ever wondered what it really takes to be a lifeguard? Sure, we all love that classic image sun, shades, maybe a slow motion run toward the beach. But there's a whole lot more to it than meets the eye. You're in luck, because in this deep dive, we're going to use RoleCatcher's expert insights to do exactly that, dive deep.
You're absolutely right. It's not all glamorous. This isn't just about keeping an eye on the water. It's about vigilance, quick thinking, and a deep understanding of water safety.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, we've all seen how quickly things can go wrong around water. What kind of risks are we talking about here? Anything that surprised you when we were looking through these materials?
Well, what's fascinating is that lifeguards are trained to identify potential risks before they even become a problem. It's not just about spotting a weak swimmer, it's about assessing the entire environment.
Oh, okay.
Think rip currents forming on a beach, a sudden shift in the weather, even a group of kids getting a little too rambunctious. These are all situations that require a keen eye and proactive thinking.
It sounds like being a lifeguard is a lot like being a detective. You need to be constantly observing and anticipating what might happen next. But instead of tracking down clues, you're preventing accidents.
Exactly. And that's what makes this career so rewarding. You have the potential to directly impact people's lives in a very real and immediate way. Think back to all those news stories we've seen. Lifeguards are the ones conducting life-saving techniques like CPR and first aid. They're not just watching. They're trained and ready to jump into action when it matters most.
Knowing you have those skills and the ability to make a difference in those critical moments, that's got to be an incredible feeling. But I'm guessing it's not always easy, right?
Well, it definitely comes with its share of challenges. The source material highlights the high level of responsibility as a potential downside. You're dealing with people's safety, sometimes even their lives. That's not something you can take lightly.
No, that makes total sense. You need to be able to stay calm under pressure, especially in emergency situations. Are there any other skills that might surprise people? I mean, never would have thought that customer and personal service would be a key requirement for a lifeguard.
It might seem surprising, but it makes perfect sense when you think about the role lifeguards play. They're often the first point of contact for people at a pool or beach.
So not only are you responsible for safety, you're also a bit of an ambassador for the whole aquatic environment. It's like being a teacher, a guide, and sometimes even a bit of a referee all rolled into one.
Exactly. You might be answering questions about the facility, giving directions, maybe even calming down a worried parent who's lost sight of their child for a minute. Those people skills are crucial for handling all kinds of situations.
Yeah, and speaking of handling situations, I imagine things can get a little hairy at times, even with the best communication skills. The guide did mention something about handling challenging patrons. Any guesses on what that might entail?
Let's just say not everyone at a pool or beach is always on their best behavior, right?
Right.
You might have to deal with rule breakers. Think people sneaking in glass bottles, ignoring the no diving signs, that kind of thing. Or you might have to calm down an upset parent who thinks their child deserves a gold medal for a cannonball contest. It's all part of the job.
I bet. Okay, so let's say someone listening is thinking, all right, this sounds like my kind of challenge. How do I actually become a lifeguard?
hmm
What are the must-haves to even get your foot in the door?
Well, the source is crystal clear on this one. Certifications are non-negotiable.
Oh, okay.
You need to be able to back up your skills with official credentials. Think lifeguard certification, CPR, first aid. Those are the bare minimum. Employers want to see that you have the skills and training to handle the responsibility, not just a love for swimming.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about it. These certifications show you've been trained to handle emergency situations and that you're committed to professional standards. And of course, having those certifications will make your applications stand out in what can be a pretty competitive job market.
Absolutely. And while those certifications are essential, the guide also emphasizes the importance of strong swimming skills. No. Being able to confidently handle yourself in the water is a given, but just as important is the ability to stay calm under pressure. This is a job where you might have to make split-second decisions that could save a life.
Yeah, no pressure, right. But seriously, that ability to think quickly and clearly in a crisis, that's a valuable skill in any profession, not just lifeguarding.
Exactly. And don't forget those soft skills we were talking about, communication, customer service, even conflict resolution. Remember, you're not just a lifeguard. You're also a bit of a diplomat, a teacher, and sometimes even, dare I say, a pigeon wrangler.
Especially the pigeon wrangler part. I can't imagine that's covered in the official lifeguard manual. But it sounds like all of this experience, from the serious stuff to the everyday interactions, can really shape you both professionally and personally.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's say you've got the certifications, you've got the skills, and you're feeling confident about those pigeons.
Mm.
What kind of questions should you be prepared for when you walk into that interview?
Right, because acing that interview is key to landing the job.
Exactly. And luckily for us, the guide actually gives us a sneak peek into some common lifeguard interview questions. A common one is about your motivation. Why this job? Why now? Be ready to go beyond the generic, I love swimming. Think about what specifically draws you to this line of work, what skills you want to develop, and what kind of impact you hope to make.
So it's not enough to just say, I'm a hard worker. You need to back it up with real examples that demonstrate those qualities. Like, like that time you had to calmly explain to a group of teenagers why they couldn't throw a beach ball around while someone was doing laps.
Precisely. And be prepared to talk about your experience with water rescues, first aid, even something as specific as maintaining pool sanitation. All those core responsibilities that show you understand the job beyond just the basics.
Yeah, it's like studying for a test. You want to go in knowing the material backward and forward, from rescuing a struggling swimmer to handling a chlorine crisis. And speaking of going above and beyond, the guide mentioned something that really caught my eye: showcasing your capabilities. Tell me more about that.
This is where you can get creative and stand out from the crowd. It's about creating a portfolio that highlights your experience in a tangible way. Sure, you can list your certifications on a resume, but imagine going a step further.
Okay.
Includes photos of yourself in action as a lifeguard, maybe even write up a brief case study about a time you successfully handled an emergency.
It's like a visual representation of everything you've learned and accomplished. It shows initiative, it shows passion, and in a competitive job market, those things can make all the difference.
Exactly. And it gives potential employers a more well-rounded view of who you are as a candidate.
Now, before we wrap things up, there was one more point in the guide that really got me thinking about the future. They briefly mentioned technology advances in aquatic safety. What does that even mean? Are we talking robot lifeguards patrolling the pool decks anytime soon?
It's an interesting question, isn't it? While the guide didn't delve too deep into specifics, it did suggest that technology is already playing a larger role in how aquatic facilities operate, and will likely continue to do so. Think advanced surveillance systems, underwater cameras that can detect someone sinking before it's even noticeable to the human eye, maybe even AI-powered sensors that can detect distress signals in the water.
Wow, so not quite robot lifeguards yet, but definitely moving in a more tech-driven direction. I wonder how all of this will affect the actual humans in these roles.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It makes you think that, in the future, lifeguards might need to become even more tech-savvy. Imagine needing to be able to interpret data from those sensors, use software to monitor multiple pools at once, or even work alongside AI systems.
It sounds like the lifeguard of the future will need a whole new set of skills, but I have a feeling those core values, vigilance, quick thinking, and a dedication to keeping people safe, those will always be at the heart of the job, no matter what technological advances we see.
Absolutely. And those are skills that can be applied in countless other areas of life, too.
Well, there you have it. A deep dive into the world of lifeguarding, thanks to the insights from RoleCatcher. We've explored the responsibilities, the challenges, the skills you need to succeed, and even taken a peek into the future of the profession. It's a career path that requires a unique combination of physical stamina, mental acuity, and a genuine passion for keeping people safe in and around the water.
And for anyone listening who might be considering this path, remember that being a lifeguard is about so much more than just watching the water. It's about making a real difference in people's lives.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought. As technology continues to play a larger role in aquatic safety, how might that change the public's perception of lifeguarding? Will it still be seen as a summer job for teenagers, or will it evolve into a highly specialized, tech-driven profession? Something to ponder the next time you're enjoying a day at the pool or the beach.